Hello, hello everyone. Well, we are back here today with another episode of Search and Grow podcast. This episode 9, and excited about having Hassan with us. Hello, Hassan. How are you today?
Hey Tony, doing great today. Nice
Great.
day here in the UK, and excited to chat with you, man.
Pleasure to have you, mate. Pleasure to have you here. So before we start, I'd like to obviously thank everyone for listening or watching, whether you obviously are watching the video version or listening to the audio version. Uh, and thanks everyone obviously for the support and our main sponsor, SE Ranking, for obviously to be sponsoring and supporting the podcast. SE Ranking, for those who don't know, is a tool, all-in-one SEO tool, and is very useful for competitor analysis, keyword research, some sort of that's SEO audit, reporting, keyword research, and many other things that you can do. So you can try it for free with the link below in the comments, and then let's get started. We have today Hassan Ud-deen, who is content marketing manager, SEO and content marketing manager at Hack the Box. And we are going to be talking about content marketing and SEO and how they need to work together to make it work. So there you go, Hassan. So you want to add something else? Where are you connecting from, by the way?
I'm from the UK in the town of Birmingham. So the usual line I give with that is that if you've ever heard of or seen Peaky Blinders,
Yes.
I'm literally not far from there. So from the town where Peaky Blinders is based, second largest city in UK in Birmingham. How about you? Where are you calling from?
I'm from Manchester. Well, I'm based in Manchester, so we know that far. We know that far.
Okay,
one
fair
from
enough.
one from
Yeah,
each other from the UK. So yeah, great to have you today. So I like to always to start like touching base on more on your story and why and how did you get into what you do, content marketing, and that lead to SEO. Tell us a bit more about your story.
yeah. It's a weird journey for me. It started a while back. I initially had like a foray into freelance writing because I liked English as a kid in school. It was the only one of the only things I looked forward to. If you read my LinkedIn bio, I tell a little story of how I was the only one who react. My knee jerk reaction to English was like saying yes, and then the room went quiet because the teacher announced that it was time for English. My knee jerk reaction was yes, and then I'm just getting looked at, right? Like, who on earth is this guy? So that was me from the start. And then later on, when it came time to like graduating college, like here in the UK, I didn't want to go to university. I didn't see the value in it. I wanted to get straight into work. And for me at the time, there was a lot of hype around freelance writing. I think almost a decade ago, it was a viable way to make money and do all of these things. So that's where I ended up. I ended up, writing guest blogs. I enrolled in John Morrow's guest blogging program. Fun fact is I worked there at a pizza shop as a pizziera to make the money to save up and just buy this guest blogging program and guide on writing. Um, when I did, I went in hard. I had like 3 guest posts for my first post because it was like 10,000 words long. And maybe some of your audience might be familiar with Firepole Marketing or Danny Inney. He was big in the
Mhm,
days of Copy Blogger. So that was
mhm.
my first feature. And from there, I just started getting clients and learning more about naturally about SEO and content. Originally, I didn't know much. Like for example, when I first started guest posting, I didn't know the value of backlinks. So nothing on my site was optimized, but at the time, but even then, I was getting like 1,000 visits a month, just from what I'd assume would be referral traffic. So I was on guest blogger, I was on pro blogger, Firepole Marketing, and I even ended up getting syndicated. So that literally launched everything. So it started with the writing, and then I ended up like contracting and working for companies like Leadfeeder, QuickBooks, a brief stint with Shopify, and that's where I started to learn the value of SEO because I realized, oh, I'm writing content and it's ranking on Google, and then you start realizing, hey, the organic value of traffic, um, and then even getting a glimpse into people like Matt Diggity and the affiliate site. the affiliate side of things. That really brought my attention to how valuable traffic on the internet is. And then that's led into a whole new direction of trying to understand SEO. And I guess that's the origin story of the hybrid skill set, you could say, or the hybrid approach that I have, which is combining SEO and content. And that's where I help Hack the Box to today.
I think it's kind of like, obviously, because of I love the story, and then how you obviously started getting into that, and then found out the importance of the backlinks, and then obviously other areas that you need to explore, and I think writing is something that for me, like, is really hard. I mean, not because of obviously English is not my main language, it's because it's right. I would say it's difficult to write. It's easy to write something bad, but it's difficult to write something really good, and it's something that not only people will find it useful, that also rank and get the traffic as well. So we'll talk about that in a bit later. But I would say in terms of like for example, we're focusing on today on combining content marketing and SEO. What role would you say content marketing plays in the role of a business? Talking from your own experience, from a business point of view.
Yeah, I think it's vital in today's day and era. And speaking for myself as well, like the content you put out is the messages you give out to the world, right? Like without content, you're not saying anything. Almost, it's like you're just quiet. And then if there's a whole conversation going on, what is your brand and what is your manner of communication? What is your stance on things? If you don't put that out in such a noisy world, I think it's hard to get noticed, or at least it's hard to get noticed by the people you want to get noticed by, because content isn't just about reach; it's about resonance, right? So ideally, you hit both. But I think it unlocks resonance with the right target audience, and that builds up a loyal following, and a loyal customer, user, or audience base. So I think content is integral, and it'll remain integral moving forward, especially with a media-focused landscape of marketing.
100%. I agree with you, and especially these days, Google, is benefiting, quality content, and it's all about helpful content helpful update. And you've probably been through like some experiences, in projects like ourselves, things like, for example, obviously content, trying to answer, search intent, and creating a bit more content that is a bit more like quality rather than quantity. What's your thoughts on quality, quantity? I know lots of people asking quantity, quality, what's best? Obviously depending on the project, your goal, but what would you say is best? I mean, quality, quantity?
I think it depends on your strategy. So, and the strategy derives from, here's the thing, right? So the strategy derives from the business's goals. So if your superiors and your board of directors are on board with maximizing awareness, then maybe you have some bandwidth to kind of reduce the quality to increase quantity. However, if you have an audience that's maybe very technical or very picky, then I'd imagine it for you to prioritize quality, because it's a small circle. You put your audience off, and then you lose respect. So from that perspective, I think it really depends on the strategy. Classic SEO answer: it depends.
Depends. Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Is the right answer in most cases, but then obviously depends on the case.
If I had to pick, I'd pick, like if we were looking at a bar on a scale percentage, I'd lean towards 65 to 70% quality, because quantity means you're more likely to kind of produce what everyone else is producing, whereas quality means that you have a chance to go deeper, right? And resonate with a few specific people, and then that starts a whole another network of distribution, reaching the right people, even marketing your content. So I think that benefits that in a circular way.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you think of an example, if you say you're creating a guide, in-depth guide of something, I mean, what would you choose to do? Create something very like in depth, like very well, structure with really good content, or you rather doing something that someone else is doing and just produce it with like in a very fast way, or copying or doing AI, or is there? I mean, it's definitely going to work best to kind of like look for quality if you're going to create that than quantity, I guess.
I think the era of quick wins is coming to a close in terms of content. I think we're leading towards a new era that's going to focus on depth and uniqueness of expertise, as we're seeing even with Google's EEAT update. Experience and expertise is going to reign.
So tell us a bit more about what's your experience with the EIT that you've been having with your content. Did you experience any changes, or any sort of like things that you pick up that things are more valuable in the way that you create the content, or the way that you share your experience?
Yeah, so for Hack the Box specifically, one thing that I put an emphasis on, because I think this is where the advantage of being a content/SEO person comes in. But one of the things that I put an emphasis on is like making sure we have author bios, giving guidelines for authors, making sure they have their credentials listed as part of authoritativeness and trustworthiness, and then also like talking about the experiences. So I think if that's visible on the page, it's going to do a lot to bolster the overall authority of the pages on the site. And just for the human factor, I mean, taking the search engine algorithms out, taking the SEO hat off. If I go on a page, somebody with less experience than an expert could write content on hacking, and maybe it sounds just as good. But then if it's coming from who the message is coming from matters, because if it's coming from somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience, or you can't refer to, or maybe they have they don't have the certifications, it's just a marketer like me, for example, it's not as valuable, right? Like you can say the similar messaging, you could say the same words, but it doesn't hit as hard, because what you say matters, and who says it also matters too, in this new world of content and SEO. So yeah,
definitely, and I would say, like, in terms of, we're going to move into like the tactics side of things. For example, content marketing tactics. I'd say like collaboration, from my own experience, is so key in content marketing, SEO, or any strategy, right? So if you kind of like create content and then collaborate with people that are reference, they are experts in the field. We talk about ourselves, but then if we do content or create content and we include experts in the other area, that would be a really good tactic as well. So in terms of like tactics, content marketing tactics, to which ones you think would be, I want to say the top ones, because the top ones, I mean, which ones would you say like they kind of like working best around this time, 2023?
I'd say we're seeing it in the wild, and that's baking distribution into your creative process. And as you said, collaboration, I think, is one of the key things, because one, it gives your content more authority. Two, it's like a unique flavor to your content. You have unique expert thoughts. And number three, distribution is baked in. You can ping those contributors on LinkedIn. There's a high chance their network is going to see it, and you have the network effect, right? And if the content's good, you got a chance of going viral, or you're having your message spread. So I think collaboration is a big one, and sourcing authentic expertise, which is very hard to do, especially if you're like a challenger brand or a starting brand. But yeah, I think it's getting harder for brands who are just starting. But that's where I see the highest ROI there, if you can systemize that.
Yeah, definitely. It's great advice. I mean, I guess for brands it's difficult to get the you mentioned their tone of voice, the way they they reach the audience and stuff. And I guess that plays a big part as well on the strategy, content strategy. So in terms of like AI, I know it was gonna be a topic for today, because everyone is talking about it, and it's something like really it's a hot topic, trend topic, and I just seen like a recent, I shared in my newsletter a recent study or analysis from Reboot. I think it's Reboot agency, they don't like comparing creating new sites, comparing it with content AI, human content, and human content was ranking better than AI content. So I think, what's your take on the role of AI in SEO and content marketing, and what's your advice on how to use them, these tools, how to use them?
Yeah, I think I also noticed that study somewhere. I don't know if it was in my inbox or something, but I do remember seeing something like that, possibly on LinkedIn. But to answer your question, I think it's here to stay. As everyone would probably agree, it's here to stay. We're going to see this. What For me, what it stresses is the importance of the raw skills to have a good taste and know what's good content and bad content. So kind of the vague skills that are kind of behind the scenes in the shadows, right? So what makes content good or bad? What adds expertise? And I'd say AI is more like a stepping stone or something to help you develop an outline, right? Like for me, I may use it similarly to how I'd use, let's say, an SEO tool for a generation of subheads, but more detailed than that, right? And also, there's obviously the side of automating things, which I haven't personally got into, but I do see the value of being able to automate your workflows, maybe meta descriptions, and even your keyword research. So I'd see it as a valuable tool there. But is automation game breaking? Not usually. Usually it's about knowing what to execute on and executing it, and then automation comes in after to kind of speed things up. So I don't think it'll take away. I think it won't take away. I think the inverse will happen. I think it'll put a greater emphasis on editorial quality control and strategy. I think those two things will be key moving forward, both for SEO and both for the content side of things, hand in hand.
Yeah. I mean, I could not agree more with obviously AI is here to stay. The only thing is how we use it, right? Because as you say, you include them in the workflow of your strategy content, but it's okay to use it to give you more ideas for a headline. It's okay to use to give you some ideas on how to write things, but it's not gonna never, in my opinion, never gonna substitute the quality of content, well written, well structured, human content with lots of different, well, as you know, obviously you specialize in the area, and from a company or business point of view, it's too risky to use those tools just to literally copy paste, which some people have been trying to do, because it's going to be duplicate content in the future, because if everyone is asking the same questions about the same content, eventually it's going to be hundreds of people with the same copy and the same content on their website. So it's going to be interesting to see that how things go in there. I mean, it's exciting, isn't it? So it's very exciting. So talking about more like, because we haven't mentioned this yet. I mean, we haven't discussed this yet, but the test of workflows, and I think people would be very interested to know, because obviously there are companies who are having a proper team, content, SEO, and stuff. But what would you say? I mean, what role, or how important is to have a proper workflow and a proper strategy? And for any business, whether it's a small or medium or large organization, obviously, why is important to have a workflow and having a strategy and a plan on what you're going to write and how you're going to target, and what's your approach on that?
Yeah, I think ultimately it comes down to knowing that you're supporting business goals, and if you're an SEO or your content, whatever marketing role, wherever role you're in, the better you can tie your activities and your execution to real tangible goals, then it's easier for buy-in. It's easier to kind of display your value. You also know that you're doing a good job, right? You know that you're supporting real goals here, and you're generating revenue, or you're supporting customers. So that's the importance of always having strategy, or having the right strategy. And essentially, strategy is like your compass. You're going in the right direction. You look at business goals and you map to them, right? So no matter how much you execute, you could execute in completely the wrong direction. Maybe you're a company that needs to focus on quality. You have a highly technical audience. and publishing rehashed SEO content, it's not going to work for you. I think a story that I always refer back to is of Jimmy Daly from Superpath. I think he worked. I think this was when he worked at Animals, but he mentioned producing content that ranked and got traffic for like 2 years, and then somebody turned around and said, "Hey, how much leads did this generate?" And he couldn't answer that question, and I think he ended up getting fired. Right, so. I think you need to kind of understand the spectrum of what you're trying to do. Like, is your content trying to build a community? Do you really need to focus on SEO? Like, I hack the box sometimes. Like, originally, because I'm biased towards SEO, I have to confront that. Sometimes we might want to deprioritize SEO because we have a large distribution network. I mean, we have over 1 million users, a community over 2 million. There's a large LinkedIn presence. So, if the content is of high quality, you in that situation, the distribution will help. Will be aided by just the numbers that you have. However, if you've just got rehashed content, it's not going to go as far and resonate as deeply as it should. So yeah, that for me, that's why strategy always matters. That's why I always like to pin things back to goals. So I hack the box. What I do is, like for example, this year the team went to Greece. We brainstormed and strategized together. We had a good deep dive on business goals, and then from there I'd map like the content campaigns. And within the content campaigns, I'd have a few themes, right? And then I'll map these to SEO, almost pillars as well. So that's where you get the duality, right? There's certain topics we want to cover. For example, like penetration testing, it's a bread and butter topic. It makes sense to kind of accumulate organic traffic for this and be the authority on it from a content perspective and give guidance to, let's say, people who want to do this as a career and make this their long-term future. So that's one example of the pillars that we'd execute based on business strategy. And then the second segue is like operations and workflow. So once you have your strategy set, you're working on the right things, then it's about optimizing how much you can actually do, working with the team, collaborating. And when you have a smaller team, it's a bit harder, but I think it forces you to be more efficient and really ruthlessly prioritize and focus on things that matter and move the needle. So that's currently how I see both of those things working in content and SEO.
I like what when you say, obviously, you ask the question, you produce this content, all this content, hard work, put it out there, and then how many leads? I mean, how many or signups for your or users? Like you say, you can measure in users, you can measure in any KPI, but if you are not producing, I mean, you can get as many. For a business, from a business point of view, you might want to get leads, you might want to get sales, you might want to get. But then it's going to have to be measuring something at the end of the day, right? So it's not only about getting the traffic. And I guess if you work on both areas, SEO and content marketing, you have a wider approach, but then understanding as well. Okay, let's do less of the technical, let's do a bit more of this, or let's do a bit of more of that. And I think, I guess that's so important. And for obviously people that are listening, they be like, okay, yeah, it's important because SEO and content marketing, I mean, sometimes it's about where you put the effort in and how you're going to work towards generating or producing something. Page, whether it's a page, whether it's a blog, whether it's something that is actually going to move the needle, right? So
100%.
So it's important. 100%.
Have you read Eli Schwartz's I might be butchering his name, but product-led SEO. So I think that there's a page in the book where has a framework for prioritizing initiatives, and I found that really helpful as a way of capturing how you prioritize and just how to visually think about it, because you could execute a lot of initiatives in SEO, but what delivers the return, right? Like, for a big one is like, bringing page speed, core web vitals metrics up by a few percentage points. It's a lot of effort, it's a lot of dev time. If you're not particularly technical, you'd need to get in the weeds and understand and then give guidance to developers. Whereas maybe you have a product page that could benefit from link building and outreach. So maybe a bit of budget there, a bit of on-page SEO and internal linking might nudge that up towards on page one and improve lead gen. So these kind of things are stuff that's always I think it plays on your mind once you're aware of it.
I mean, I love talking about this because it's the difference between being a proper, strategist, a proper, and someone that is working to drive the actual results rather than just to implement things. Because implementing for implementing sometimes is the waste of resources.
100%.
So, and my question was going to be what makes a good content marketer or SEO, and I think we got the answer. The answer is the difference. Someone is more focused on the things that are going to kind of like get the results, whether it's building a new page, whether it's creating this, rather than fixing things for fixing things. which
100%.
leads to a separate one quick one about was it what and this is all flowing. I mean, for people that might think, "Oh, this is all prepared." No, this is just flowing. This is just flowing, and my
I'm in
mind
the
is like,
firing line.
yeah. My mind is like just going 200 miles an hour. But I'm thinking, we mentioned before distribution, and I follow for a while Ross. I think Ross Simons, the coolest cool on Twitter. Ross Simons, and he always talks about distribution. So 25% creation, 75% distribution. It's not. He says it's not worth creating a massive piece of content if you don't distribute. You don't have a strategy on how you're gonna get it out there. So, what's your take on distribution and creation? What of the content importance?
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, you embed distribution in your creation. So I'm actually working on an article right now about this. I'll share it with you when it goes live. But yeah,
Amazing.
distribution should be embedded into creation. However, that's what's ideal is not always possible, right? Sometimes you got to get something out. But I think a quick win for that is always interviews with experts or subject matter experts who know the field well, and you can quote them, and even the osmosis, you could say, the brand osmosis of affiliating your brand with other strong brands. I think that works quite well. I mean, show up enough times in a few circles. Usually, if you're putting out worthy content, you will get recognized and you get associated with solid brands and solid names. So I think that's a quick win for people. Another example from, you could say, combining content and SEO is, I think a more advanced part of SEO is conversion rate optimization, right? And then thinking about how, okay, you've generated awareness, you've got users on page one, but then how are you converting them, right? And I think that's literally the jump off point where you tap the content person or the content brain on the shoulder and say, hey, okay, users are on this page. We've clarified searcher intent. What's like the audience intent? What are they really ultimately after? And then how do we convert them or tie that to our product? So, for example, if somebody wants to learn about hacking, I'd suggest you check out our guide on that. It's one of the best guides on the internet. Just putting it out there. I'm biased, but if you were to go on that guide, there's the next part of intent is catered for. You are directed to our free academy resources, where there's a free academy introducing you on how to get started. There's labs you can partake in. So we're not just generating awareness from the SEO side, from the content side. There's actually more that we give you. There's more that you can do. And I think that's important, whether like you're in e-commerce, maybe there's a template or a checklist for the user to go and deploy in their day-to-day. I think as a fellow marketer, the value of, you need to get something done. You've probably not done it before. Maybe it's like something like a calendar or some kind of spreadsheet optimization. You take a template somebody else already has, and then you repurpose it or you adapt it how you need. But for me, I always remember the person who shared it with me, or because it just enabled something or unlocked and accelerated my progress in my day-to-day work. So I think you hit people with a couple of those things, and it makes a strong difference. I think it's a strong brand touch at the very least.
Yeah, and obviously, like when you say, I mean, like in terms of like distribution, it should be, as you mentioned, it should be in your part of your process. I mean, it's like something that you build. And I like when you share, obviously, if you do collaborations, or if you build a brand, or even the actual users or the actual people are going to recommend your content, and it's going to be distributed in a way that's more natural, right? Rather than forcing distribution. So I guess obviously our main recommendation is for people to include it since the beginning and think about ahead rather than thinking I'm going to create this without that. Amazing. So what are the main SEO, content marketing, or business tools, any tool that you use these days, nowadays, that you couldn't live without?
Nothing fancy here, so nothing too out of the ordinary. The usual Ahrefs, SEMrush, just general tools to help research and gather ideas. Google Docs, Google spreadsheets. I think just knowing the right formulas, especially in combination with a tool like Screaming Frog. I love Screaming Frog. So a tool like Screaming Frog in combination with a bit of working knowledge of Google Sheets can take you very far. I think there's a tool called Search Metrics for Sheets, or the Google add-on, that allows you to, hey, sorry. I think there's a Google tool or add-on that allows you to import like your Google Search Console queries and bypass the 1,000 query limit or 1,000 rows of data limit. Very, very helpful. I've used that for a lot of in-depth research into a site's queries and query optimization. So I find the classic tools to be the most helpful. Google Analytics as well. Still getting up to speed like everyone else with Google Analytics 4. So that's another can of worms.
I know. We could be talking about that for like 2 hours and nothing good. I mean, I get the point of Google Analytics 4 and how they change into a new approach, and I think it's going to be beneficial. But struggling at the moment in terms of attribution, I don't know, but maybe we could talk about that with a coffee or a beer one day.
Yeah,
a vodka. We'll need that. We need that. Some patience, a lot of patience. But I agree with you. I mean, in terms of like the main tools, and then I guess your own processes will be the main tools, and how you build everything in your own systems and spreadsheets for your day-to-day work. So moving now, we talk about lots about content and marketing, SEO, and we're moving. We're approaching the end of the interview, the podcast. But we're going to ask you a couple of questions more like personal. See if you had to name like people that inspire you, or a book or a film, is your choice. Where you can name someone or a book or a film they inspire you a lot, and then to do what you do and to be your best. What would it be?
So two of the top ones in terms of, I'd say, being able to give me raw energy on a bad day, it's probably David Goggins and Mike Tyson. So I think those stories are amazing. I've always been mesmerized by Tyson's story. I remember just blowing past the first 100 pages, and there's like 400 pages left, and I'm like, this guy's reached world championship status at 20 years old by page 100. Like, what comes after? So those early years very interesting to me. And generally, MJ DeMarco, he's the author of The Millionaire Fastlane. I think that book was a pivotal book in my life, just because it breaks down like the fundamentals of value, generating value, wealth, and being disciplined, right? And unconventional ways of thinking. I think they're very helpful. In terms of content, I really like Everybody Writes by Anne Hadley. There's an editing course by Shani Raja. I think he worked for the Times or the Financial News, Financial Times, or the New Yorker. That was a great deep dive on editing, which I think is becoming more important in the world of AI-generated content. So those were key. And I want to give a shout out to Grow and Convert for content. I want to give a shout out to Grow and Convert for content strategy, because they I took their course a while ago, and I like how they have a revenue focused approach. So quite a few different influences, but those are the top ones that come to mind in terms of what I do day to day.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll take notes. We'll share with people. Obviously, everyone. We'll share with everyone the recommendations, because there's a couple of good. This
Yeah.
really good. There are really good recommendations,
Yeah.
and I think people will be interested, yeah, in reading some of the books as
And
well.
yeah, and final one, I guess I didn't balance it out with SEO. I really like Daniel Foley Carter's SEO stuff.
Oh yeah,
You're probably aware of it, but I think he's one of the only ones in the industry to come out and show methodology, which is what differentiated him in my eyes, right?
yeah,
Because the methodology he has, everyone has the same tools, but how you use them makes a big difference in what
yeah.
you pay attention to. So in terms of SEO strategy,
He's he's
yeah,
he's really good.
yeah, big
It's
shout out
really
to
good,
Daniel.
and the way he is puts the content out there and no bullshit. Very clear strategy. Pam 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 pam. How you
Yeah,
can do things. Yeah, very very. He knows.
yeah, it's authentic.
He
Yeah,
knows the stuff.
yeah,
He knows the stuff. It's not
yeah,
like copy pasting from
yeah,
others. Yeah,
100%.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to Liam Fallen as well
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Liam for sharing all the funny SEO stuff.
Yeah, shout out Liam if you're watching. Part of the
Yeah, yeah.
group and the community as well.
Shout
Yeah.
out, Liam. Yeah, actually, we're gonna share the link. Well, they will be shared in the group. So we take the opportunity to say hello to everyone from the group. It's a marketing community. Although I'm not as active as I should, because I'm very busy at the moment, but I think it's a really great community. I mean, built by Liam, and where I met Hassan, and then all the great marketers out there. So it's nice to connect. I think community is part of, it's very important to build a community and to stay connected with people. So if you, Hassan, if you were to choose a different profession that is not content marketer SEO, what would you choose? What would you do?
I think my answer would change depending on what options you gave me and what day you asked me on. But I have a few solid ones in mind. One of them is physiotherapist, and maybe like a dev or something like that. I'd say they feel opposite. One's really like isolated and one's more people focused. But
I know.
I think I have an itch for both sides of things. And I think there's a component that physiotherapy takes. Like there's a technical component, and there's also you're helping people. It's very physical and tangible how you might support someone. So it's very rewarding, I think. So shout out to my personal physios who I've had in the past. But then there's also the fascination with learning new things, and just learning how tech works. So I've always, because I've been between like content and SEO, I've never dived too much into technical SEO. If I need to grasp something, I'll research it and understand it just enough to talk about it. I think that's all you need. But sometimes you have to stop yourself from going down the rabbit hole, just so you can.
Oh yeah.
Just you can do your actual job instead of learning.
Yeah, definitely, and there's so much stuff that you can do, but then you can be curious, and I love that you say about the technical stuff. But then if you want to craft something and then do something well, you focus on one and then learn a bit of the other. You can be good at everything.
Even the soft skills, right? Like, to be honest, if you think about it, a lot of people probably benefit more from the soft skills side versus technical, because in a company you need to tap a dev on the shoulder, or you need to communicate something to your boss to get by budget, or maybe you want to build some links, or you want to hire some writers. How do you communicate that to them? So shout out to Tom Critchlow's SEO MBA. The free I haven't taken the paid course, but the free stuff alone helped me in terms of how I phrase things and how I look at things.
The newsletter as well, right?
The newsletter as well.
I get the newsletter. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. So
I
think that's a good part of your skill stack to focus on. It's
being
one
good
thing that gets overlooked.
Communicating and with your team, and obviously you say from an in-house point of view or from a business point of view, whether you are a consultant or whether you run your own business, communication and knowing how to manage is more important than sometimes being able to implement everything yourself.
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah. 100%.
Definitely. So that physio got me there. But I mean, I think it's a good profession actually. Yeah.
How about you? What would yours be? What would your choice be?
I think you'd be a rock star. I don't know if it's a profession, but I always say like I used to play like guitar and stuff, and I wanted to be like in a band and I'd be a rock star. But then I go into marketing, and I always been in marketing. I always been loving, how marketing is evolved, digital, and then SEO and all the stuff, and how much you can implement and do and create projects, and marketing is my passion. But if I'll do something, I'll be a rock star. I mean, I like to be I don't know if I'll be alive by my age right now, but
That's a
I'll be a
good
rock
answer.
and roll star. I'll be a rock and
A
roll
lot more
star.
exciting than mine. Yeah.
I'll be a rock and roll star. But don't know
Marketing
if
rock star.
I could make a living with being a rock star. Anyway, so last question. I mean, it's about where would you recommend resources. But I think you already shared, Hassan, lots of many different resources.
Yeah.
But if there's any that you like to add, I think you say Grow and Convert, the MBA SEO newsletter. Anything else that you like to add to for people to learn content marketing or SEO?
Yeah. The Brandon Hufford's community, All In, is quite good. Superpath, great communities, very active people. Good place to hang out and talk to fellow content folks, which is something that you rarely get to do when you sit behind a screen. I'm actually attending Brighton SEO this year, so I'm excited to. This will be my first time. I don't know if you've been, Tony, but it'll be my first
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
man. Yeah,
Oh,
man.
we should definitely meet up.
I am planning to go. I already been. My first time was last April, and then I pointed because I got a poster from last April, and then but I love to go. I mean, it's 90% I'm gonna go unless something personal comes up. But definitely,
Nice.
let's meet
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, for sure. And I can send you a list later as well. But I pretty much rattled off like the top things that came to mind. Yeah.
Brilliant
Yeah.
stuff. So thank you so much, Hassan. I mean, it's been amazing. I think I enjoy it so much talking to you, and
Likewise.
and for people like they might think, oh, they know each other, and then like it feels like I feel like I know you before we just had this conversation, and we literally had a couple of we are part of the same community, but we haven't had the chance.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah, we
first
haven't.
proper chat that we had. But
Yeah.
then this is the start of a long, I hope, a long friendship, and then we could meet up at Brighton SEO. So
It was awesome,
definitely,
man. Yeah. Sounds like a plan.
that'd be cool.
Awesome chatting to you. Yeah, does feel like I've known you longer than a few email exchanges.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear that, and just to wrap up, I like if you like to say people where they can find you on Twitter, LinkedIn. Tell everyone where they
Sure.
can connect with you, and then
Yeah, for sure. Usually I'm very active on LinkedIn. I go through blackout periods, but you can find me at Hassan Ud-deen on LinkedIn. I'll be creating more content soon, so just give me a follow on there, and I'll be also releasing some side projects soon where I'll be giving regular updates. So it's pretty much it from me. LinkedIn's the main place to catch me, and thank you, Tony.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, and thanks everyone for obviously watching. Whoever is watching from a video version, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, and then thanks everyone for listening, the support, and thanks again to our sponsor, main sponsor, official sponsor, C Ranking, and we'll have next episode coming soon. And thank you so much, Hassan. Take care, and speak soon, and see you soon as well.
See you
Cheers,
soon,
mate.
Tony.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.